Welcome to According to Sam, folks. Happy Friday. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me. We're going to talk about politics a little bit today, get back into Professor Littman's model that we ended last podcast talking about. And we're going to talk about a little bit about where the presidential election is right now. Now, everything that Joe Biden seems to be doing as we move closer and closer, we're less than 6 months away from the election now, but everything is so transparently calculated. Every single move that this guy makes, it's so. Give you an example. The guy just brought marijuana down from I think it was I forget what schedule it was, but he basically decriminalized federally marijuana. 3/4 of the states in this union have decriminalized marijuana, many of which have done so for recreational use. This guy was in the Senate for almost 40 years, or definitely over 30 years in the Senate. Since the 70s, he's been in the Senate. He was in the Senate. And this was never an issue for him. He never talked about this when he was in Congress for all those years and had influence and the ability to change this. But now he's making this move, and it's so transparent. It's so calculated. Like, you can see by the moves where he's bleeding, by the moves that he's making, where he's applying the bandages. You can see where he's bleeding. I mean, this was obviously a move to get younger voters, because he's not doing well with younger voters. You remember when he said, I'm going to put, when we have an open Supreme Court seat, I'm going to put a black woman on. I mean, it's transparent. It's calculated. You can see what he's trying to do. And the reason that it's kind of cringe, some of these calculations that he's making, and the reason that he's doing all these different things, is because they know where they're bleeding. He's not even the one making these decisions. The people around him are academics. What does Katie Couric call them? The intelligentsia. They're data driven. They do focus groups. They do their polling. They do their modeling. Everything is based on a formula. If we do this, this should be the outcome. And that's why he's making all these moves, and they're transparent. They're obviously calculated, and they're cringe. It's some of these things that Biden does. It's so cringe. Now, one of the places where Biden is bleeding is with voters of color. He's bleeding out. This was a segment on CNN in the last 24 hours. Take a listen.
But look at this number for Donald Trump, 22%. Where was Donald Trump at this point 4 years ago in the polls? He was just at 9% of the vote. So he's seen more than a doubling in his support among African Americans. This margin, which was in the 70s just 4 years ago, look at where it is now, 69 minus 22. That puts it in the 40s. My goodness gracious. If this held through the general election, obviously we're still months away, this would be by far the best performance for a Republican candidate among black voters in a generation, 2 generations, probably since 1960 and Richard Nixon against John F. Kennedy. That's how long we're really talking about when we're looking at this margin here. This could be a truly historic margin. It's quite a troubling sign for the Biden campaign.
It's a troubling sign because these are voters that Democrats have been able to count on for forever. Forever. So he just said that Nixon got a large percentage of the black vote in 1960, but Lyndon Johnson got over 90% in 64, just 4 years later after that. And since Lyndon Johnson, if you remember, famously said when he signed the Civil Rights Act that I'm going to have these N-words voting Republican for the next 200 years. I think he said 200 years or something like that is what the is what he's reported to have said. So ever since then, blacks have been voting in high numbers, and these are voters that Democrats have been able to count on. And he's bleeding these voters right now. Jen Psaki, who has worked on campaigns, she worked on Biden's campaign. She's worked for Obama's campaign. She worked in both of those White Houses, and now she works for MSNBC as a commentator. And she was on The View a few days ago. I guess it was 2 weeks ago. And I want you to take a listen to this.
Yeah. Well, and in addition to young people, polls are also showing President Biden with softer support from African Americans and Latino voters compared to 2020. That's despite Trump pledging to round up 11 million undocumented immigrants and seeming to be more worried about anti-white discrimination than any other racism. So you've worked in campaigns and administrations that had Latino and African American support. What do you think Biden should be doing right now?
I mean, first of all, some of these things bend your mind. So let me just acknowledge
bends
that.
your mind.
It bends.
Some of these things bend your mind. So what is Psaki talking about here? It bends her mind because she's data driven, and she's going to tell you that here in a moment. That this is the way that these campaigns work. This is the way the Biden campaign is working. She knows, she's worked in these campaigns, that she doesn't understand why the formula is not working out. I mean, why is the formula that we have a clear formula that we're putting into practice, that this should be working, and this is mind-boggling that it's not working, is what Jen Psaki is saying.
Administrations that had Latino and African American support. What do you think Biden should be doing right now?
I mean, first of all, some of these things bend your mind. So let me just acknowledge that. I mean, it bends my mind sometimes that more white women voted for Trump than Biden. It's like, come on, people, what are we doing out here? There's a lot at stake. I will say, Anna, that this is one of the topics I think that's probably front and center for the campaign, because they are they know that young voters, also voters of color, could stay home. They may not go out and vote for Trump, but they may not come out and vote for Biden. And if you're on the campaign, what you have to do, and they're focused on doing, but they need to do more of, is make the choice very clear. Is Joe Biden perfect? No, he's not perfect, right? Of course he's not. Has he gotten everything done? No, he hasn't. But he's got to convince people he's going to be.
He's not perfect, and he's gotten everything done. So what has he got to convince people of, Jen?
He's not. Has he gotten everything done? No, he hasn't. But he's got to convince people he's going to be the one fighting for them, and the other guy is fighting for himself, pretty much. That's the message. Has it worked effectively entirely yet? No. They've got a lot of work to do. Why is there a divide? I don't know the answer to that question, because, and I think part of it is that the choice is not quite clear yet between the candidates, and the stakes people need to be reminded of the stakes of the we all talk about politics all the time. You all do. It's not front and center yet for people. It will be in the coming months.
No, and the Biden administration has undeniably accomplished a lot in the last 3 years. When you look at employment numbers, infrastructure, gun reform, even things like bringing down drug prices.
All that. The math should be mathing. All this great stuff that he's been doing, why is it so close? So, I mean, everything that she's saying is the narrative. These are all the talking points, that he's done so much. He's been such a great president for the American people. Just everything's great. Why has he been polling under 40% or around 40% for 2 years? Why, if everything's great like you're saying, why is he... And Donald Trump is as awful as you're saying, why is he tied with Donald Trump on a good day, losing to Donald Trump in most cases, in most polls? Explain that to me. That the math is not mathing. This is what they're saying, is that we have, data-driven, and Jen Psaki's going to say it here, we operate on data. We operate on models. We operate on focus group, that the math is not mathing. Everything it should be, Donald Trump should be losing to Joe Biden by double digits. That's not what's happening.
Accomplished a lot in the last 3 years. When you look at employment numbers, infrastructure, gun reform, even things like bringing down drug prices, going after junk fees. But in the polls, with inflation, the protests, the age issue, all of the things, we're seeing a closer race than you'd expect. Is there something here that could be done in messaging? Like,
what can we do?
Disconnect from that information?
What can we do? What can we do? Is there another variable that we can add into the formula? Another data point that we could be looking at. What can we do? What calculation can we make to change this? And what you're saying is that everything's great. I mean, these people, oh my God.
There's something here that could be done in messaging. Like, what is the disconnect from that information and the way it's landing or not?
Well, one of the challenges, and I will say people don't always recognize this in government, as Alyssa knows, everybody in government, they love data and spreadsheets and, pages and reams of bureaucratic talking points.
Listen to what she just said. Listen to what she said. And then she turns to Alyssa, because Alyssa's been there too, that it's all, that we sit around and we talk about data points. We talk about, talking points, messaging and focus groups, The math needs to be mathing. We don't understand what's going on here.
I don't always recognize this in government. As Alyssa knows, everybody in government, they love data and spreadsheets and, pages and reams of bureaucratic talking points.
Yeah, that's
People
not
don't
working.
Make decisions by you telling them how they should feel about the economy. They make decisions about how they feel and how they...
People don't make decisions about the way you tell them they feel. So now she's starting to get it. Now Jen Psaki's starting to get it. People don't make decisions about the economy because you tell me that, oh my God, the Dow Jones just hit 40,000 for the first time. I don't have any money in the Dow Jones. I'm looking at the price of eggs and I'm saying, yeah, that's great that the Dow Jones just hit 40,000 for the first time. I don't care about your data points.
Should feel about the economy. They make decisions about how they feel and how they feel about things. There are some. The data has been improving on the economy, including inflation numbers by and large. But the cost of housing is still too high. People still have student loans they're paying back. It is still, cost of groceries are still higher than they need to be. So people are still feeling those things. And it's acknowledging that that's important.
So
Joe Biden.
So Joe Biden, everything that he does is absolutely calculated. And you can see it just in the past couple of weeks that, 3 weeks ago, you had the protests that are going on the campuses and, people camping out in the campuses, protesting what's going on in Gaza, at all the colleges across the country. You had riots where police moved in to clear out the protesters at Columbia, at UCLA. And, that's really bad press for Joe Biden. That's really bad for Joe Biden. And we're going to get more into Alan Lippman's model in this podcast, and you're going to see why that's bad for Joe Biden. So the very next week, this guy had been denying interviews to the media. The media is complaining. He hadn't done any interviews, completely shut off. The very next week, he decides to do this interview with CNN, and then he announces that he is pausing a few weapons from going to Israel in response to this bad press and that was going on the week prior. And it was calculated that we're going to come out, we're going to do this interview, we're going to say that we're pausing weapons and that what Israel is doing was wrong. And I've already explained to you that was all for a show because he thinks the voters in Dearborn are stupid, that he's in full support of Israel. He's fully supported and armed Israel outside of this sliver of weapons that he held back for a show. But this was the calculation that he was making. It's all calculated. This past week, the polls came out. The New York Times poll, Siena poll. Everyone was talking about it. I played the clip from Fareed Zakaria from Sunday that went viral. Played that on Monday, and everyone's talking about this poll and how vulnerable Joe Biden is in the polls. And then this week, after all of that controversy about the polls, just out of nowhere. Now, this is 100% calculated. Joe Biden just agrees to do the debate with Trump. Now, Trump's been challenging him to a debate for months now, saying anytime, anywhere. And he finally agreed to do the debates this week out of nowhere. But again, as I'm going to show you, this is completely calculated. I paused this video right here because I wanted you to notice. Look at this guy. Doesn't he look so much like this dummy? Look at this.
In Trump's more head.
I don't want to play that. I don't want to play that yet. Hold on. I'm going to play that a little bit later. Sorry. But look at this. This is Jeff Dunham's dummy and Joe Biden. I thought they look a lot alike. But anyway, this is Biden. He just came out with this video. I think this was on either Monday or Tuesday. And he announced that he's accepting Donald Trump's challenge to a debate. Take a listen.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. And since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays. Donald Trump lost 2 debates.
So, again, this is completely calculated. Joe Biden is down in the polls, and everyone was criticizing this New York Times Siena poll. I mean, that's not the only poll. Multiple polls have come out showing that Joe Biden is down. So, again, the polls are just a snapshot. These eggheads, these data-driven, model-driven, information-driven eggheads who create talking points and strategy for Biden, they look at the snapshot of these polls and they say, how can we change that? Where can we change that? And so Joe Biden has to debate Donald Trump because he has to make up ground. This guy's losing, okay? Take a listen to this guy on CNN. He says what I just told you.
Behind the scenes, the Biden campaign realized, I'm told several weeks ago, they knew they had to debate. Mm-hmm. A sitting president in, a strong position might try and hold off on this, but that is not where Joe Biden is.
That's not where Joe Biden is. That he realized weeks ago that he has to debate. So instead of, agreeing to Donald Trump's, well, he did agree to do the debate, but instead of just agreeing to just even terms, because he knew that he had to debate, he had to set up the debate in his favor. I was thinking about this, and if you've ever seen the movie Gladiator, and in the movie Gladiator, at the end of the movie, the Commodus character played by Joaquin Phoenix, he goes to the Russell Crowe character, Maximus, and Maximus is a slave gladiator fighter, and he goes into the slave quarters just before Russell Crowe comes out, and then he stabs him in the side, and then he goes and challenges him to a fight. The Maximus character's bleeding out, and he still beats him, but he knows, Commodus knows in that moment that he has to save face, that he has to fight Maximus, and he knows that if he fights Maximus on a fair playing field, and it's fair, that Maximus is going to just destroy him. So he stabs him in the side, so Maximus is bleeding out, and then he challenges him to a fight. This is what Joe Biden did. So again, all calculated, all very measured, and they believe that they're setting a trap for Trump, and I'm going to show you here in a moment. This is another guy on CNN. I want you to take a listen to what he says.
I think this is a Hail Mary for Joe Biden. He knows he's losing. These polls have never historically over-favored Donald Trump. They always underestimate his support. So he needs to change the narrative, and the debate is basically his Hail Mary shot at doing it.
So the debate is a Hail Mary. Again, calculated. He knows that he has to do it. He's known that he's going to have to accept it. So let's come out first with the video. Let's stab Maximus in the side, and then walk into the arena. Is what Joe Biden's plan is. I want you to listen to Potato Head here. He's back on CNN. Let's listen to Brian Stelter.
Actually, debate. By the way, there was a lot of behind the scenes maneuvering to make today happen.
Yeah, there was a lot of behind the scenes maneuvering to make today happen. Say it again, Potato Head.
There was a lot of behind the scenes maneuvering to make today happen.
Yeah, these things do not happen
I think
overnight.
CNN deserves incredible kudos, and also ABC. ABC will have a debate in September. Both these networks have pulled off something that felt impossible before today, and it's thanks to a lot of behind the scenes work.
He says it again, a lot of behind the scenes work. Yeah, a lot of behind the scenes work.
Thanks to a lot of behind the scenes work that leads up to this moment. It's also a great responsibility for CNN and for ABC, a great moment for the country. I don't think the average American has watched Donald Trump speak for more than a minute or two at length since he lost the election. So for tens of millions to tune in next month and to see him ranting and raving or whatever he's doing, that's going to be a pretty dramatic wake-up call for the
So going back to what Jen Psaki is saying, that they believe, this is what they believe, because, all of their data says that they should be winning. All of the data says that they should be killing Donald Trump, and they can't figure it out. And now, even Jen Psaki says it in that View appearance, that she believes that the reason that the polls are so close, the reason that they are not winning, is because people have not seen the contrast. So that's what Brian Stelter, Potato Head, is saying here, is that this is going to offer people the contrast, and that's the calculation, that's the only thing that we can come up with, that people haven't been paying attention. People are not focused on what's going on. I don't know. If they think people are living under a rock or something, people are more engaged than they've ever been in politics in this country. Even people that don't like the candidates. It's not like they can put their head in the sand and they don't know what's going on. But they feel that they can get, and that's why they want to do it early. This is, everything that in these debates is under Joe Biden's terms. He came out and he set all of the terms and forced Donald Trump to accept their terms. Again, stabbing Maximus in the side and getting your advantage, and then challenging him to a fight is what Joe Biden did. But what Brian Stelter is saying here, there was a lot of work behind the scenes. Look, Joe Biden has everyone on his side. Everyone is on Joe Biden's side. This is a real David and Goliath moment. Joe Biden has all of Hollywood and the Hollywood stars on his side. He has all of the media on his side. He has all of the business elite on his side. He has all of the money. He's out raising Donald Trump. When I heard Brian Stelter say this about all of the maneuvering behind the scenes to make this happen, it made me think of the Time article. If you remember this article after the 2020 election, the secret history of the shadow campaign that saved the 2020 election. And then this paragraph, there was a conspiracy unfolding behind the scenes, one that both curtailed the protests and coordinated the resistance from CEOs. Both surprises were the result of an informal alliance between left-wing activists and business titans. The pact was formalized in the TARS little notice joint statement by the U.S. Chamber of Congress and FL-CIO. That's not the paragraph that I wanted to read. Where is it at? Where it talks about the cabal. Anyway, Joe Biden has everyone on his side. Everyone on his side. Where's that at? That paragraph where it talks about the cabal. Anyway, so they worked behind the scenes, like Brian Stelter says here, to make this happen. Joe Biden didn't come up with all of the rules. That was his team. That was the eggheads behind him. Says, that we're going to set all the terms. We're going to force Donald Trump to accept the terms. And I want you to take a listen to this woman. She explains it a little bit more. They came out first before Donald Trump, after setting all the terms. I don't even know if the negotiations were complete, but they made the move first, again, calculated to force Donald Trump into accepting it. And now Donald Trump can't back out, because if he backs out, it looks like he's backing out if you don't accept all of our terms, basically.
To give an overall view here, talking to Trump's senior advisors and those in his orbit, they're a little bit irked right now. The fact that Joe Biden somehow took over the debate narrative, despite the fact that Donald Trump has been really using this as a narrative at all of his campaign rallies. He's been up on stage with an empty podium next to him, no one there.
So listen to what she's saying. So Donald Trump has been challenging Joe Biden to a debate. I guess the negotiation has been going on, but they didn't expect that Joe Biden was just going to come out with this announcement that he came out with and get a beat on them. I mean, they thought that that maybe they were going to be announcing it together, or I'm not sure if Donald Trump had really agreed to everything. But this, Joe Biden coming out with that video took the Trump campaign and took Trump off guard, even though they had been challenging the debate, Joe Biden to the debate for months now. So Joe Biden came out and said that he accepts the challenge to the debate, and he laid out all the terms again. Take a listen.
Give an overall view here. Talking to Trump's senior advisors and those in his orbit, they're a little bit irked right now. The fact that Joe Biden somehow took over the debate narrative, despite the fact that Donald Trump has been really using this as a narrative at all of his campaign rallies. He's been up on stage with an empty podium next to him, no one there, saying, come debate me. He's often said, I will debate anywhere, anytime. This has been kind of a rallying cry for Donald Trump and for some of his top advisors.
If it was going to be a fair debate, if it's a fair debate, I mean, man to man, and I'm not bleeding out of my side, then yeah, of course Donald Trump wants to debate him. Who wouldn't? But when Joe Biden is setting all of the terms in his favor, then no, Donald Trump should not walk into this trap. I don't believe that Donald Trump should accept a debate. I don't believe that Donald Trump needs to debate. It's not that important. I know that he's itching to. Of course he wants to debate. Who wouldn't want to debate Joe Biden? But don't do it all on his terms. I do not agree with this.
He's often said, I will debate anywhere, anytime. This has been kind of a rallying cry for Donald Trump and for some of his top advisors. Now, what we saw today was Joe Biden really taking control of the narrative, and now Donald Trump trying to take it back. So after we saw this announcement from Biden, after Donald Trump had accepted these two debates, he then got on Truth Socials to say he was going to accept a third debate at Fox on October 2nd.
No way, not Fox.
Truth Social here. Well, the Biden campaign is saying, well, you already agreed to our terms. That's not happening.
Check this out.
They wrote the actual statement was, President Biden made his terms clear for 2 one-on-one debates, and Donald Trump accepted those terms. No more games, no more chaos, no more debate about debates. We'll see Donald Trump on June 27th in Atlanta.
So basically, they said that you already accepted. Like, I guess Donald Trump was still trying to negotiate a third debate on Fox, because that was one of the stipulations that the Biden campaign had, that only ABC and only CNN, obvious networks that have a bias for him. Trump says, I'm willing to do those. I'm willing to do CNN, even though I know that they have a bias and it's going to be 3-on-1. I'm willing to do ABC, even though I know it's going to be Hot Carl and whoever else hates me on ABC. I'm willing to do those, but let's do a third one. Why don't you do it on Fox? And Biden says, no, we're not going to do Fox. Only what I say. Only CNN, only ABC, no Fox. And you've already agreed to it, so let's move forward with it. You guys see what's happening here? It's a clown show. This is Biden's communications director. Take a listen.
So you say no live audience. You want it in a television studio without an audience. Does that mean if the Trump campaign insists on an audience, no deal?
Listen, I think the Trump campaign made their proposal very clear when Donald Trump said he'd be willing to debate anytime, anywhere, any place.
So hear what he's saying. So he's asking the question because that's another stipulation. Not only did they stipulate that only CNN and ABC could host the debate, no live audience. This is one of the stipulations that they're made. And he says, well, what if Donald Trump wants a live audience? Then why wouldn't Joe Biden want a live audience? Because he doesn't want people laughing at him. Why wouldn't he want a live audience and have the American people there? Why? Because that favors Joe Biden. So no live audience for any of the debates. I can understand maybe having one debate with no live audience, but I mean, no live audience? You can't have any live audience. And then they say that, well, Donald Trump said anytime, any place, so he already agreed to this. He agreed to all of our stipulations. He agreed to no live audience. He agreed to shutting off his mic. He agreed to everything that we say because he said anytime, any place. Now, when he said anytime, any place, he didn't mean anytime, any place with the hole in my side. Fighting an unfair fight, 3 against 1. That's not what he meant, anytime, any place, you cowards.
That mean if the Trump campaign insists on an audience, no deal?
Listen, I think the Trump campaign made their proposal very clear when Donald Trump said he'd be willing to debate anytime, anywhere, any place. And so what we want and what we have laid out is that we want to do this sooner rather than later. We should do it in June after his criminal trial is likely to have concluded and after the president returns from the G7 summit.
That was another one. So June, Biden administration came out with June. They've never had debates in June before. This is the earliest that we've ever had debates. Why in June? What's the purpose of June? What's the calculation that they have made about June? But they came out with all of these stipulations. June, ABC, CNN, cut off his mic. Only these people can moderate. Everything to rig it for Joe Biden. I just think this is astonishing.
And so what we want and what we have laid out is that we want to do this sooner rather than later. We should do it in June after his criminal trial is likely to have concluded and after the president returns from the G7 summit. It should be, yes, in studio with no audience so that the candidates can clearly articulate their visions for the country.
Is an audience a deal breaker? Is an audience a deal breaker for you?
Listen, it's Donald Trump who said
yes, and it's Donald Trump. No, he asked you if it's a deal breaker for you. I'm sure the networks may want an audience. I mean, what do you mean? And then he puts it back on Donald Trump. Yes, it's a deal breaker for us. We don't want an audience. We don't want Joe Biden to get laughed at.
Listen, it's Donald Trump who said he would do this anytime, anywhere, any place. So I don't think that they should have any problems with what we have proposed. He's the one who
he said anytime, any place. So I don't think that they should have any problems that we are rigging it, basically, is what this clown is saying. I just think this is hilarious.
Any problems with what we have proposed. He's the one who said he's ready to go. So we should be set to go once we have proposals in from networks.
Wow, you see what these guys are doing. Everyone sees. Sean Hannity had a segment the other night after they announced these debates. And quite frankly, he lays it all out, hits the nail on the head 100%. Let's listen to Sean Hannity.
Another said that the jump cuts could cause a seizure. Wow. And as for Biden's generous offer to participate in 2 debates, it came with a ton of conditions. None of them mentioned during his 13-second Dirty Harry tough guy routine. Let's be clear. Joe Biden and the media mob, they don't get to collude and dictate all the terms of the debates, but that won't stop Joe and the mob from trying. Now, first, Mr. Make My Day Joe is demanding no audience. Apparently, Joe gets easily scared and likely gets disoriented from crowd noise, which would be new to him since he never gets a large crowd at any of his events, his short events. Now, 2, Biden wants third-party candidates and independents banned from the stage, including RFK Jr.
I agree with this. RFK is not on the ballot in every state. He doesn't have the potential of getting 170 electoral votes. He shouldn't be on the stage.
Candidates and independents banned from the stage, including RFK Jr. Well, as of now, in order to debate third-party candidates, they need to be polling at 15%, qualify in enough states to get the Electoral College votes that are needed, but that should be negotiable. 3, Joe wants mics to be muted after the allotted speaking time expires, so no back and forth. I guess it's just too confusing for Joe to keep track.
So, and that's very interesting, too. I mean, why? So they're going to have no audience and the ability to shut off Trump's mic? I hope that Trump would have someone else recording, because how are we going to know what Trump says if they shut off his mic and there's no audience there, you know? I mean, of course they should have a back and forth. That's what a debate is. The reason they don't want an audience and they don't want, that's who going to be who are moderating. We'll get there in just a moment. But the reason that they don't want Trump to go back and forth with Joe Biden and they don't want an audience is because they want Joe Biden to be able to lie with impunity. This was Joe Biden lying in the debate that he did with Trump and Chris Wallace was the moderator in 2020. Take a listen to this, just outright lies.
National intelligence, 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, five
former heads of the CIA all lied for you, buddy. And he's sitting here and he's lying. And if Donald Trump's mic is cut off, I mean, he's not going to be able to say, look, this guy's lying. Look, you're absolutely lying through your teeth, which is what he should be able to do. But okay, they're going to cut off his mic because Joe Biden gets disoriented, like Sean Hannity's saying. What are the other demands?
To be muted after the allotted speaking time expires, so no back and forth. I guess it's just too confusing for Joe to keep track. Now, I would add that moderators' mics, they need to be muted also.
I'd agree.
After a question.
I'd agree.
Why?
I mean, if I was Trump,
it's obvious.
If I was Trump, I would be like, okay, I'll agree to all of these one-sided demands that favor Joe Biden, but you got to agree to one of my demands, and that's a P test before. I'd make this guy take a UA before the debate. Let's find out what drugs they got him hopped up on, Barry Bonds, before the debate. What drugs they got you up here on that you need to compete. That's what I would tell him.
The liberal media, they'd love to be 2-on-1 versus Donald Trump. No, that can't happen. Nor should networks be allowed to put anything on the screen but the names of the candidates, because they might try to hurt Donald Trump that way and participate that way. No go. And while we're at it, there should be no notes, no teleprompters, Joe. In other words, Joe, you don't get giant cheat sheets telling you where to stand and how to say hello and how to say goodbye. Meanwhile, Biden's fourth demand is that he's only willing to debate on only 4 liberal Biden-friendly news outlets. His choice, ABC, CBS, Telemundo, and fake news CNN. In response, Trump told Fox News this: I'm ready to go. The dates they proposed are fine, anywhere, anytime, any place. Let's see if
I just think that's so interesting that Trump is willing, though. He knows that those networks don't like him. He knows that it's going to be rigged against him. But he's saying that I'm willing to go CNN. I'm willing to go to ABC, even though I know that it's going to be 3-on-1, even though I know these guys hate me. And I watch these guys every single week, so you don't have to. I watch their show. These are going to be the guys that moderate. And these guys are completely biased. They hate Trump. It is obvious that Jake Tapper hates Trump. It is obvious that this woman, Dana Bash, hates Trump. Obvious. Week by week, they go on a rampage to undermine Trump. They're supposed to be journalists. They're not journalists. Why can't we have someone independent, some real journalists moderate the debate, but Trump knows that they're against him, and he's still willing to go there. And Joe Biden won't do one debate on Fox News. And Fox News, oh my God, Fox News is not even a conservative network. Most of the people who work at Fox News are against Trump, and Biden's still scared.
Make it to the stand-up podium. And Trump even agreed to hold the first debate on fake news CNN, a network filled with dishonest left-wing hacks we know who hate him. Now, this includes Dana Bash and fake Jake Tapper, who are now tasked, they say, with moderating the debate. Let me stop right here. I'm sorry, but the media mob and Joe Biden, I'll say it again, they don't get to collude and choose radical Biden-supporting hosts in the moderator's chair. Nice try, though. That means no fake Jake Tapper. Tapper is a radical, left-wing, partisan talk show host that masquerades as a journalst.
Absolutely.
Now, Big Jake, let's look at his career. It started as the press secretary for a Pennsylvania Democrat. Then he worked for a D.C. public relations firm and a gun control group named Handgun Control, Inc. Tapper even had a stint at the radical far-left publication Salon.com before eventually making his way
Democrat.
To fake news.
He's a
CNN.
Democrat operative.
All of a sudden now he wants to be called and considered a journalist. Make no mistake, fake Jake Tapper might be a lot of things. He's no journalist. And like everyone else in the media mob, Tapper spent the last several years obsessively hating all things Donald Trump. Even
Absolutely.
retweeting a comment from a notorious Trump hater calling Trump, quote, 100% insane. Tapper said the tweet is noteworthy, but that's not all. You decide.
As we watch Donald Trump attempt to turn his...
So what this is, and I'm going to give you some after this, but this is a montage of clips demonstrating Jake Tapper's bias towards Donald Trump. That you never hear him talking like this about Joe Biden, about any other candidate. Why is this guy hosting a debate? He's completely biased. And then again, why is there two of them? Why do you need Jake Tapper and Dana Bash? Two people that hate Trump. So it's 3 against 1. They're doing everything to rig it.
An indictment into some sort of campaign commercial. The folks in the control room, I don't need to see any more of that. He's trying to turn this in. He's trying to turn it into a spectacle, into a campaign ad. That's enough of that. We've seen it already. Here he is right now under my voice. You hear him repeating his anti-immigrant rhetoric. President Trump, now in quarantine, has become a symbol of his own failures. He is running the single most negative, sleazy campaign in American history for a major party candidate. If you were to open up a copy of Hitler's Mein Kampf, you would find the Nazi leader describing the mixing of non-Germans with Germans as poisoning.
Just wow, this
There's
guy's
really
going to...
no other way to say it. Donald Trump's language mirrors this directly.
So he's calling. He thinks that Donald Trump is Hitler. What a great person to host a debate. That's really fair. The guy that thinks Donald Trump is Hitler is going to be a moderator. I think that's really fair. This guy Jake Tapper is such a sleazeball, and Donald Trump, you should know that he's a sleazeball because he's done this to you. I think that Jake Tapper, quite frankly, and this is saying a lot because I have nothing but disdain for the American media, but I think that Jake Tapper is one of the slimiest people in American media, probably the top tier, and it's because of the way that he does things, and he's like a snake. Like he'll get you trapped into this dialectic, and he's trying to trap you is what he's doing. Like a snake is what he is. And there's not a greater example than what he did to Donald Trump in the 2016 campaign. Let me tell you what he did. So this was, we talk about who Judge Curiel is. George Curiel is a judge here in San Diego that was, he was over the class action lawsuit against Donald Trump and Trump University. Now, this class action lawsuit was brought by an individual who had taken the Trump University class, and then other members that had taken the class joined her class action. But she was the principal person that brought the lawsuit, and in the depositions, they found a survey that she filled out after taking the class, where she gave the Trump school high marks. She said it was the greatest class that she'd ever taken, and her review was stellar of Trump University. Now she's suing in this class action. So because of that survey that she filled out after taking the class, then the lawyers, they're like, we can't use this woman. She's the one who brought the case. So they take her out, and she's not part of the class action anymore. And then Judge Curiel, who's this Mexican judge who was born in Indiana, an anchor baby, first generation American, he is the one who's overseeing this case. He hates Trump. It's obvious. He belongs to a lawyers group that is named La Raza. La Raza means the race. It's La Raza. It's a part of a larger organization that is focused on advocating for Mexican Americans in the United States and the race. It's a political organization. This lawyers group that Curiel belonged to was associated with La Raza. So he's the guy overseeing the case. He's making horrible rulings in this case, because he kept the case going even after the person who brought the case had to drop out because of this survey that she had filled out, making horrible rulings. And then Trump comes out and he says that this guy's making horrible rulings on me because I'm running on an immigration policy saying that I'm going to build a wall, And I want you to watch what Jake Tapper does here. This is the biased person that they got hosting moderating the first debate between Trump and Biden. Take a listen.
I want to ask you about comments you made about the judge in the Trump University case. You said that you thought it was a conflict of interest that he was the judge because he's of Mexican heritage, even though he's from Indiana. Yeah. Hillary Clinton said that is a racist attack on a federal judge.
Oh, she's so wonderful. Here's a woman that should be put in jail for what she did with her emails, and she's commenting on this. Let me just tell you. It's very simple. I have a case where thousands of people have taken this course, and thousands of people have said great reviews. Fortunately, just about everybody that took the courses have signed a review, an evaluation, they call it. And it's gotten tremendous marks. Thousands. I don't mean like 2 people. I mean thousands of people. Right. Okay. I have a situation.
So he's got it. And this is what I'm telling you about Jake Tapper, because he's already got the question in his head that he wants to ask. Look at this slime ball. So he's already got the question in his head that he wants to ask. So what he's doing, he's trying to set Trump up for a trap.
I have a situation where the woman that brought the case, she was the plaintiff. She was deposed. She was found to be a disaster for them as a witness because she gave an evaluation that was like the best evaluation you've ever heard. Wait just 1 second.
Okay.
And she did a tape.
He wants to get his question out.
Saying that this school was fantastic. It was fantastic. They went to the judge and they said, Your Honor, we don't want her anymore to be our plaintiff. So we said, let's dismiss the case. That's okay. Let's dismiss the case. And he said, no, I won't dismiss the case, and she doesn't have to be the plaintiff.
Let me tell you.
I'll tell you what it has to do. I have had ruling after ruling after ruling that's been bad rulings, okay? I've been treated very unfairly. Before him, we had another judge. If that judge was still there, this case would have been over 2 years ago. Let me just tell you, I have had horrible rulings. I've been treated very unfairly by this judge. Now, this judge is of Mexican heritage. I'm building a wall, okay? I'm building a wall. I am going to do very well with the Hispanics, the Mexicans,
So
everybody.
no Mexican judge could ever be involved?
That's not what he said. That's not what he said, Jake Tapper, that no Mexican judge can be impartial to him. Now, watch what Trump says.
No Mexican judge could ever be involved in a case that involves you?
He's a member of a society where, very pro-Mexico, and that's fine.
So it's not that Judge Curiel was Mexican that he had a problem with. It's that Judge Curiel belonged to a group that was associated with La Raza. That's what he's talking about.
Pro-Mexico, and that's fine. It's all fine. But
Except that you're calling into question
he
his
should
heritage.
recuse himself.
Because he's
Then
Latino.
you also say, does he know the lawyer on the other side? I mean, does he know the lawyer? A lot of people say
But I'm
yes.
not
I don't
talking
know.
about that. I'm talking about
that's another problem.
But you're invoking his race when talking
Here's
about
what
whether
I'm
or not
saying.
he can do his job.
Jake, I'm building a wall. Okay, I'm building a wall. I'm trying to keep business out of Mexico. Mexico's fine. There's nothing.
But he's
the
American. He's an American.
He's of Mexican heritage, and he's very proud of it, as I am where I come
But
from.
he's
My
an
parents.
American. You keep talking about
Jake.
He's an anchor baby.
because of Mexico.
Are you ready? I have a case that should have been dismissed already. I have thousands of people saying Trump University is fantastic, okay? I have a case that should have been dismissed. I have a judge that never, ever gives a... Now we lose the plaintiff. He lets the plaintiff of the case out. So why isn't he canceling the case? So we thought we won the case.
So you disagree with his rulings. I totally understand that.
Not
but
me.
you're...
I've had lawyers come up to me say, you are being treated so unfairly. It's unbelievable. Do you know the plaintiffs in the case?
And here it comes.
Wonderful things
Because he's
about
got to
this
get the
law,
question out.
You know why they're suing? Because they want to get their money back.
I don't really want to litigate the case.
You have to.
You don't know. He doesn't want to litigate it. He doesn't want to get into the facts that Trump is being treated unfairly about this guy. He doesn't want to get into the facts that this judge belongs to a group associated with La Raza. He doesn't want to get into the facts that this judge is a first-generation American and that he's an anchor baby whose parents were born in Mexico. None of that stuff matters to Jake Tapper. Only thing Jake Tapper wants to do is get this question out so he can set this trap for Donald Trump. Then Hillary Clinton can use it as a talking point, and it can be used as a talking point throughout the campaign. That's what Joe Biden's, that's what Jake Tapper's job is. That's what he's trying to do here, and that's what he's going to do if he moderates a debate with Joe Biden and Donald Trump.
If he was giving me fair rulings, I wouldn't say that.
My question is,
Jake, if you were giving me fair rulings, I wouldn't be talking to you this way. He's giving me horrible rulings.
I don't care if you criticize him. That's fine. You can criticize every decision. What I'm saying is, if you invoke his race as a reason why he can't do his job.
I think that's why he's doing it.
But
I think that's why he's doing it.
When Hillary Clinton says it's a racist attack.
Hillary Clinton is a stiff. If Hillary Clinton becomes president...
Paul Ryan today said he didn't care for the way that you were attacking.
Paul Ryan, too. Paul Ryan's a stiff, too.
Paul Ryan doesn't know the case. Here's the story.
Isn't it the definition?
I should have won this.
Here it is. Here it is.
This is not a case. This is a case I should have won on summary judgment. Do you know the law firm paid Hillary Clinton hundreds of thousands of dollars to make speeches? Do you know the law firm has...
I do. We've reported, we've reported it on my show.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad. You're the only one. The law firm, wait a minute. The law firm paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to Hillary Clinton for speeches.
Before either of you
She wasn't worth it. Everybody felt...
He wants to get his question out, Trump. Trump, you got to let him get his question out that is going to be the talking point. He's got to get the gotcha question out, Trump. Let him get it.
Before either of you
She wasn't worth it. Everybody fell asleep during a speech.
Before either of you were running for president, they did. But here's the fundamental question.
Do you know that they've contributed tremendous amounts of money to her campaign?
Yes.
Do you know they've contributed a lot of money to Eric Schneiderman, the New York Attorney General?
Here's my question.
No. Do you know that?
I did not know that.
Do you know that these
Here's
people
my
went
question.
to every
Here's
attorney
let me
general
get this question out,
in the
Trump.
country that they could, and do you know this case was turned down by almost every attorney general from Texas
Let me get my
to
question.
Florida to many of these states?
Is it not?
Here it is.
Hillary Clinton says this is a racist attack, and you reject that. If you are saying he can't do his job because of his race, is that not the definition of racism?
Well, Trump never said that. Trump never said that. Who said that he can't do his job because he's Mexican? You said that, Jake Tapper. Trump never said that. Trump never said that he couldn't do his job because he's Mexican. Trump said that this guy is associated with a group called La Raza, and that he's giving him unfair rulings, and that Trump is associating the unfair rulings with the judges association with this group, and the judge's history, and the fact that he's first generation American and an anchor baby. That's what Trump said. Trump never, ever said that he could not do his job because he was Mexican. You said that, Jake Tapper. And you're the one who tried to set this. This is a question that he had prepared to set a trap for Trump so he could give the Democrats a talking point because he is a Democrat.
He can't do his job because of his race. Is that not the definition of racism?
I don't think so at all.
No?
No, he's proud of his heritage. I respect him for that.
You're saying he can't do his job because of it.
No, he didn't say he couldn't do his job. So Jake Tapper was the one who says that the judge couldn't do his job because he was Mexican. He attributes it to Trump, and then that becomes the talking point throughout the campaign. Listen to Hillary Clinton in a debate in 2016.
He went after Mr. and Mrs. Khan, the parents of a young man who died serving our country, a Gold Star family because of their religion.
Yeah, he died in a war that you voted for and that you supported fully, lady.
He went after John McCain, a prisoner of war, said he prefers people who aren't captured. He went after a federal judge, born in Indiana, but who Donald said couldn't be trusted to try the fraud and racketeering case against Trump University because his parents were Mexican. So it's not.
That's not what Trump said. He didn't say that he couldn't be trusted because his parents were Mexican. He said he couldn't be trusted because he is affiliated with the group called La Raza and that he had been giving him unfair rulings. And then Hillary Clinton puts out a campaign ad specifically highlighting this talking point that Jake Tapper has given her. Obviously, Jake Tapper supports Hillary Clinton. So Trump does this interview with Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper sets him up with this gotcha question, and then the gotcha question becomes part of Hillary Clinton's campaign.
If you are saying he can't do his job because of his race, is that not the definition of racism?
No, I don't think so at all. We're building a wall. He's a Mexican.
How dare he question a judge's responsibility, a judge's adherence to the Constitution because he is of Mexican descent?
Is that not a racist statement?
No, I couldn't disagree more with a statement like that.
Are you comfortable with a potential president attacking a federal judge for his heritage?
No. This is one of the worst mistakes Trump has made. I think it's inexcusable.
He says that when he questions whether the judge can be fair because of his Mexican heritage, that is not racist. Do you agree?
Look, I don't condone the comments.
So Trump never said that the judge couldn't do his job because of his Mexican heritage. It was Jake Tapper who says that and then attributes it to Trump. Trump is clearly saying that the judge is giving him unfair rulings and that the judge is associated with the La Raza Society is what Trump says, and he associated the unfair rulings with the fact that that the judge is part of a group called La Raza, and the group that the lawyer group that the judge was associated to called La Raza was a group that was focused on finding dreamers, undocumented immigrants, and giving them the means to go to law school and make them lawyers. That's what the La Raza group was about. So the group was geared towards helping undocumented immigrants like his parents. And Trump's running on building a wall and against illegal immigration. And everyone said, because Jake Tapper set him up, said that Donald Trump was racist, that he was, saying that the judge couldn't do his job because he was Hispanic or Mexican. So I would expect nothing short of what Jake Tapper did in that interview and what Jake Tapper has done on his network ever since Donald Trump came into the political picture. This guy has worked to undermine him. He hates Donald Trump. So does this woman. But they get to be the moderators because Joe Biden needs some type of edge or he's going to get killed in the debate. He can't fight fairly. Just like Commodus could not fight Maximus fairly in the Gladiator because he knew that he would get killed. He had to take an advantage. Even Bill Maher knows that. This is Bill Maher on his show a few weeks ago, and they get into the discussion about Joe Biden and Trump debating. Listen to Bill Maher.
I think it's going to be bad on Biden.
if he goes into the debate. I mean, I've said it before, they're almost the same age, but for some reason, Trump just doesn't present as old and feeble, and he kind of looks the same.
Trump would destroy him in a live debate.
Destroy him. Piers Morgan. Trump will destroy him in a live debate. Just like Maximus would have destroyed Commodus, Trump will destroy him in a live debate, is what Piers Morgan says. Everyone knows it. That's why Joe Biden had to rig it. That's why he had to rig it in his advantage and to come out first and to set all these terms and to force Trump to agree to them because he said anytime, any place. It's a calculation that they made, and everyone can see through it.
Trump just doesn't present as old and feeble, and he kind of looks the same.
Trump would destroy him in a live debate. He would destroy Biden in a live debate. I've got no. I mean, how many live press conferences has Joe Biden done? Right?
Well, that's.
I mean, there's a reason they don't put him in front of a large gathering of the media for a sustained period of time taking questions.
Right.
There's a reason.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
Well, Trump's going to destroy him. Trump's going to destroy him is what Piers Morgan said. And I agree 100%, even though it's rigged. Just like even though Commodus stabbed Maximus in the side and he's bleeding out, he still beats him. And I think that's what's going to happen in this debate. And I didn't get into Alan Lippman in this podcast. We'll get into Alan Lippman's data model in the next podcast, and we'll talk about what that model shows for the election in November. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on Monday.